everybody, today is another NIOH guide video. Today we'll be looking at spears. So yeah, you love them, you like to see them, and they are pretty powerful in NIOH. So spears come in one type. They don't have anything that changes like a sword or an axe. These just come in one type. They scale with B on Constitution, C with Strength, and C with Skill, but you can tailor it towards skill like this one here. Let's start with their moveset immediately, shall we? So, first, obviously, they have the standard dodges. Nothing unusual. As far as their up stance moveset goes, they do one swing, which actually does attack yokai horns. This does hit the horns of yokai pretty easily. It's a very good, heavy swing, as you'll see here. Oh, sorry. As you'll see here. Really good. Good damage. It's about 700 damage. Now, it doesn't always attack the horns, but you do need to kind of narrow it down a little bit. Oopsies. Need to kind of narrow it down a little bit, but it is then followed up by a side swipe, which does equally high damage, as you can see here. He rolls it twice as well. The heavy attack is a long sort of lunging attack that's pointed toward the ground. It doesn't actually have the longest range, as you can see that is the heavy attack. You would think he would stab it further, but he doesn't. That's actually got more range than you think it does, but don't overestimate it. It's not a whole lot. Next up is the mid stance. The mid stance starts with 3 strikes. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. First one, the first swing, is from left to right, and it does a good amount of damage. I don't believe it hits the horns of yokai, but it does do a good amount of damage. And it does have, as you can see, a pretty extreme range. The second attack is a swipe from right to left, and something you will absolutely notice, is that this attack can set up enemies pretty well, especially if they're out of Kai. Say if a yokai like this is completely out of Amrita here, it's completely out of Kai, that second attack will set up a really good combo with the first attack. It's actually quite powerful, as you'll see here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Dodge. 2, 3. The third attack is good for just finishing off a combo, and it does give you a lot more space than the other 2 attacks, as you do step pretty far forwards, a little bit farther than the first 2. The heavy attack is a 3-hit heavy attack combo, probably one of the better combos in the entire game, I would say. It goes 1, 2, 3. It is 2 stabs. The second stab actually does significantly less damage, as I will demonstrate here. So, 1, 2, 3. As you see, that did about 100 or so less damage, because you're hitting them with a blunt end of it. So, it is very good. But these do have extreme range, but the second attack, once again, is a bit of a weakness. It does have shorter range. As you can see, it's shorter range than the rest of them. Significantly shorter. But if you're up in close, it can help. It also does count as a thrust attack, despite it being hit with the blunt end of a spear, so it will still work. Low style is actually pretty good. You start with a sweeping attack that hits pretty high, and then pretty low. Well, pretty low, then pretty high. Then you start with a stab, another stab. Then you do a double sweeping attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's in one button press. Keep in mind the double sweep. Then you bring it around with like a X formation and then a stab. Keep in mind the stab is the 5th chain. I can stop it right after he does that X. And then the heavy attacks are 2 low attacks, which do actually have some special properties in some of the skills. So, spears. Let's go over, now that we've gone over like their uses for their basic attacks, I'll actually show you a small fight with a human here in the low stance to drive home the point of its ability. As you can see, it has very low range. You're giving up a lot of range here, but in exchange, you have very quick attacks that are very reliable. Do keep in mind though, if your knockback is high enough, you will knock enemies just clean out of your ooh, reach. Because your reach is very small. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. So, next up. Yep, that is the spear. Let's go on to its skills. So, spear skills. First up, we have, well, the two mastery skills. The one on the left allows you to flourish using any stance. Flourish is this ability right here. It's an attack you can do while Kai pulsing. So, it's only in high stance, which is horrible. It's that little attack right there. It's pretty powerful. However, you can only do it in high stance unless you use that mastery. The spear actually has a really good case of having good mastery skills. Like, the spear's mastery skills are pretty powerful. And then, as I call it, stabity. Increases the force of your thrust attacks, while also extending the range of your attacks. So like your combo here, your basic 3-stab combo here, that gets extended. It has a longer range to it. Not only that, it does more damage. So instead of doing, 800 or so damage, it's doing about 1,000 or so. And the final stab's going to be doing about 1,100. Somewhere around there. So, after that, we have Windmill. Windmill and Windmill 2, they both do the same thing. One's just an upgraded version. Oh, hello. I thought you were dead. Give me a sec. Let me just do this guy. In fact, we'll try Windmill out on him. As you can see, it drains our Kai pretty quickly, but it's a constant attack that we can't actually Kai pulse off of mostly. It's just a constant attack around us. And we finish it off with another spin that does slightly more damage. It's okay. It's not the best. The fact that you can't Kai pulse off of most of its damage really hinders this thing. Really hard. This thing is very hindered, because keep in mind, I just lost like half my bar of stamina right there, and I can't even Kai pulse it back. Even though Windmill can only be done in the high stance, and high stance has an amazing power called Flourish, as we just went over, to increase your damage when you Kai pulse, but you can't Kai pulse off of that, so it doesn't matter. Next up we have Twirl, and Twirl 2. Let's see, do I have these equipped? No, I do not. Twirl is a deflection attack. See, these are the wrong things. Twirl is a deflection attack. What Twirl does. Whoopsies. Yeah, there we go. Twirl. It's a deflection attack like this. That's your window right there. But you actually get a buff from the second version. Like an attack buff. And you can also stab them. This does not work too well on yokai. I find that it doesn't work too well at all on most yokai. Revenants it does work on though, but you get a small damage buff and it doesn't last too long, as you can see. I'll just do it again real quick. I gotta kill this guy, he's gonna constantly use his burst attack. We're gonna bring back another one. 3, and then we will show 1, 2, come on. See, as you can see, it's very slow, it's very hard to hit. That buff doesn't last too long. I mean, it lasts longer than something like Blue Moon, yes. But it doesn't last too long at all. We'll get rid of him now. Hold on, I have to sneeze again. Sorry. So, as you can see, doesn't last too long at all. But it does good damage, and you can, by that I mean you can get a final blow off of it on humanoid creatures, which is powerful. But remember, this only works on humanoids most of the time, so it's not that. But it's not that good either. Next up is Backlash. This is a low stance one, and it's pretty simple. Once again, I do not have it equipped. It's pretty simple. Backlash, as you can see here, is a dodging maneuver. Swipe backwards. This is not very good, specifically because the range of the low stance is pitiful. But let's say he was attacking me, I can kind of get back, go in there. And as you can see, the range of this thing itself is not very good. At least we broke his stamina with it. But the range of this thing itself is not very good. Like, I have to pretty much be right in front of him. Or at least, like, slightly in front of him. Because the thing is, normally, you want to use the spear for zoning, right? You want to keep them back like this. Kind of stab at him a little bit, go in when their Kai is broken, and use your heavy finishing attack, like this. But with this, you can't really zone. That does have a pretty big reach, as you can see there. But you're moving backwards with it, which means you're actively taking away some of your own reach and your zoning potential. I think this might be kind of a get away from me kind of move. Something to use defensively. But it's not all that powerful. Maybe if it did more damage or had super high Kai damage, it would be good. So I don't suggest picking this up. Unless you want the skills that come after it. Next up is Flying Monkey and Flying Monkey 2. This is another low stance jumping attack, like we've seen before. But you can also, as you can see there, do a ground slam with it that does not do full damage, keep in mind. So you can go up, slam, or if you didn't want to do that, you can just go up and land normally. That's what Flying Monkey does. It's okay. It doesn't do the full damage of a ground slam. If it did, well, that would be a little bit, just a tiniest bit overpowered, as you would think, so it's not the best. You don't really want to do that. But instead, Flying Monkey is a bit of a gateway to all the lower skills, though. It literally is. Well, look, it literally is. It's the gateway. You have to buy it. Next up is Entangle. It's a mid-stance offensive attack which trips enemies. You'll find out that the spear has a lot of abilities that are specifically targeting humans. So this guy. Because most yokai cannot be tripped. It can only target humans like that. But it does set them up for a finishing blow, but Entangle is just better. For finishing, like starting a finishing blow and doing it quickly than Twirl. See, if sometimes it just won't work. There's a bit of a cooldown on it. But Twirl is better because it gives you a buff eventually. Entangle doesn't do anything like that, and it has a cooldown. Twirl's only cooldown is that, you know, you like hit the enemy's reflect. You hit a reflect on the enemy. Its cooldown is the enemy's attack. You can see it doesn't work on yokai at all. Not at all. So the spear is very geared towards fighting humans for most of its capabilities. Spear's gonna be your human attacking appliance, if you would. Why? I don't know. There are a lot of stuff that the spear does that specifically targets only humans and weaker yokai, and that is it. No, I don't even think Entangle. I don't even think Entangle like works on skeletons. Let's try it. Let's see if this will work on a skeleton. Let's see here. It's very hard to do this in the first place because yokai opponents like this, even if humanoid. Yeah, it works on some yokai. Alright, that's about what I thought. I thought it might not, but no, it does. It works on some yokai. Usually humanoid, the ones are human-sized ones. But even still, I mean, Twirl is just better. It's a reflect attack that gives you additional damage. So, next up, after Entangle is, well, you've seen it before, Piercing Rain. It's a combo ender for your medium combos, and it's actually quite powerful. It's probably the best combo ender the spear has. It does multiple attacks. You were locked in this animation for a good bit, but it does multiple thrust attacks, and with the mastery ability for thrusts, this actually has a good bit of range and a good bit of extra damage on it. And if you're in, you know, high stance, you can flourish it and do even more damage, and it does good Kai damage as well because of the rapid attacks. Spears have slightly above average break, so alright. Next up is Pole Kick. It's a combo ender for the mid and low stance. Let's see, which one do I have it on? It's Pole Kick, yep. So this does very high Kai damage. I think it's one of the higher Kai damaging abilities, but it doesn't do very much damage itself. See, good Kai damage, but it only does about 100 with a weapon that has an attack rating of about a little bit under 2,000. But it has good Kai damage, and it's easy to set up for a finishing blow with it. If you want good Kai damage, though, I mean, this isn't your way to go. It's very good for comboing with some of these secret skills. Some of the secret skills also do very good Kai damage, but it's not the best. I'd keep away from it unless you want the skills to come after it. That being something we'll get later. Next up is Body Swap. It's a mid-stance offensive, but it only works on humanoid creatures, as most of the spear skills do. And it's not very powerful. What this does is pretty simple. It replaces the enemy with your place in space, and you go to the enemy's place in space. It's kind of difficult to hit, and it does actually do a little bit of damage. Say 18. But it does have a pretty good strength to it. First of all, it has good range, alright range, but if you're too close, it won't always hit. But it does set you up for some back combos if you can hit properly. Plus, it does do a little bit of damage and a little bit of Kai damage too. Tiny bit, it doesn't really matter. So, next up, we have... Oh, you're still alive. Oh, he's still alive. He's training down. I guess he died of guilt. Anyways, so after Body Swap, we have, well, this. So this is a combo ender. Rainbow Roost, I believe is how it's called. This is a combo ender. It's not even a combo ender. It technically is. You have to do an attack. But this is a Kai Pulse ability when you're holding forwards, as you saw right there. It moves you along and can position you behind an opponent. But you can immediately turn around as well. In fact, he normally does. You actually have to keep holding the direction to spin back around. This isn't very good. Rainbow Ruse. This isn't very good. It doesn't have much of a purpose. You can evade attacks like this, as the game suggests you do with this ability, yes. But it has no other purpose other than just filling some of the tree, and I wouldn't pick it up. Next up is something we've seen before. It is the slamming attack. Oops. The air veneer, yes. This is a twirling slam attack that you can do. Pretty simple. And what it does is you can partially charge it, and it does 4 quick attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you flourish, sorry. And then it has a charge version where it does more damage. It's okay. Sorry, I mean it's an offensive thing that actually does damage, unlike some of the other things the skill has. So it's okay. You can slam it to the ground pretty well. It does good damage. If you do it behind an opponent, they'll take a lot of damage, but that's about it. Next up is Spear Shove. This is a pretty powerful ability for knocking out humanoid enemies, like the spear seems to specialize in. Spear hates humans, apparently. Good Kai damage, especially if they're blocking. As you saw there at the beginning when he was blocking and he got hit by this. A lot of damage. As you can see, it's a lot of damage just for blocking. A lot of Kai damage, so pretty good. Pretty good in total. Oh no. What will I do? It can break Kai bars pretty easy. On yokai, it's alright. It does reasonable damage, but it reasonable Kai damage, but it's not very powerful overall. Next up, we have a really useless combo ender. It is powerful for taking on certain yokai. I'll say that outright. Chidori. It's useful for taking on certain yokai, and not only that, he does flick it up, and you can, like, to stop the combo there. It's 2 button presses. But the thing is, it's very hard to set up, because you have to have an opponent run out of Kai on that attack. And most of the time, they will not do that. In fact, some of them will just flat out refuse to. But it does good damage if you do get it off, and some yokai are kind of vulnerable to it. Certain larger yokai are vulnerable to this technique. I'll try and show it off with this guy over here, but I don't think it'll work too well. Whoa! Yeah, see, it still hits him. It necessarily can hit him pretty easily. But it's not consistent, and you are stuck in place for a while because the move was designed for you to be pretty much safe during it. You can see there I took a pretty heavy slash. So it's difficult. It is pretty powerful against yokai out of Kai, but pretty much everything is. Larger yokai, however, like certain bosses that are way above you, do get pretty hard destroyed by this, so keep that in mind. Despite its purpose being designed for humans, it is pretty good against yokai, mostly. Next up is something we've seen before. Something we'll see again. Let's reassign it real quick. It's a twirling maneuver. It is a mid-stance combo ender. Water wheel. This is probably the best combo ender. The Dori is okay, but this is probably the best combo ender. You slam it down pretty hard. Does good damage, it's really quick. It targets the horns of yokai. All in all, it's so versatile, there's almost no reason to use any of the other combo enders, except for maybe specific circumstances. And as you can see, it's shredded through this guy, even with me using that soul core. It's pretty powerful. And that's that. Alright. Next up. Alright, water wheel. Next up is Spearfall. It is a combo ender for the high stance, a medium combo ender for the high stance. So we have, you know, this, but we also have the next one. Spearfall. It's okay. It's a lot better against yokai than you would think it would be, but it destroys humans pretty hard. Especially if you're behind them, because of its massive reach it has on it. When a human doesn't dodge this, like this guy did, when a human doesn't dodge this, they usually get hit by that second attack, and as you can see, it can render them in the down state pretty easily. You can just recycle like that. Against yokai, it's alright. It's okay, it doesn't work the best. It's unfortunate that it's in high stance, because maybe it would be a lot better if it wasn't. But, as you can see, with Flourish and this on, it works pretty well. It does alright Kai damage, but it's far better against humans. Like most things for the spear, it's way better against humans. Thanks to that just automatic knockdown ability it has. Alright, now we have Spear Bash. It is a heavy combo ender for the low stance, which I need to put on. Like this. Spear Bash. There we go. You swipe once or twice, and it's a quick combo ender. It is very fast. That comes out very quick, as you can see. We can actually test it against a skeleton here and then a human. Just to give you the comparison, because this one is pretty important. You swipe once, swipe twice, and then it does more Kai damage than you would think it would. It is a heavy attack combo ender, so it's pretty good. It's also very fast, and because you're in the low stance, you can get a lot of your Kai back. 1, 2, 3, and there you go. Against a humanoid instead of a humanoid-esque yokai. It's not the best because sometimes they'll block it. It also doesn't have the best reach, but it's alright. See, it's alright against humans. It does good Kai damage, like most of the things that the spear has against humans. And then Spear Fall can follow it up pretty easily if you do it correctly by swapping into the heavy stance. Whoopsies, I'm all the way down here. Alright, so after Spear Bash, we have Tornado. It is a Omni combo ender. It's an Omni combo ender for all combos. I'm going to put it in the mid stance here, and it is just a combo ender. You slam your spear to the ground, and that small shockwave will actually hit enemies. It does a good amount of Kai damage as well, and it goes through blocks, I believe. So I'll show you here. Bang, hits the enemy, and then you twirl it a few times, and it does good damage. The last attack of that attack string, will do proper damage as well, and it'll do about 1,000 or so if you have a good spear like mine that has, like, you know, New Game Plus stats to it. And it does pretty good damage to a block, as you saw there. If the enemy blocks that, they're probably going to be out of Kai for most of them. It hits enemies on the ground. Can still dismember enemies with the shockwave, which is very, very silly. That's what Tornado does. I'd suggest using it for mostly humans. Against yokai, it's not the best. Next up is the downed attack. It's actually very hard for me to show you these. Usually I do not, but it's very hard for me to show you this. It's very hard to get knocked down for most stuff. But yeah, it's a down attack. It's nothing special, nothing to write home about. It does have a pretty consistent little few stabs it does. It has like a couple stabs it does right at the point where you are like getting up and you've done your first attack. It has a couple of little stabs which have a lot of range to it, which can be useful. Thank you, go and die. Thank you for the demonstration. But other than that, I mean, it's your grounded getting up attack, so they're always useful to have, just in case. You've already seen this one a good few times, but this is an upgraded version of the grapple. It's called Merciless Barrage. And it's pretty simple. Whoopsies. Come on. There we go. It's a upgraded version of the grapple that does additional damage, applies more status effects, and throws them in the air, while also putting them on the ground for maybe a finishing blow. Pretty good stuff. I suggest using it with Spear Bash, if you have it. It's a good little combo you can do that makes, you know, enemies who are out of Kai, it makes them do a lot more damage, and it looks very brutal. Next up is Twisting Spear. This is similar to True and Through, it is a hold technique that is incredibly powerful, as I will show you. Because it has so much damage and its charge up isn't too bad, and you gain basically super armor, as you saw there, when you actually do the technique fully, when you fully charge it up. You can partially charge it as well, or like barely even charge it, and will still give you a lot of distance. But you slide around objects when you do this. It does good damage, about more damage than a critical hit if you fully charge it. Keep in mind your super armor comes in, as you saw there, once that light flashes around his hands, around your character's hands. But before that, you don't get your super armor. Keep that in mind. Alright, thank you very much for the demonstration. You can die now. Here. There we go. Alright, next up after that is Wild Spear. Let's see, is this Fatal Thrust or Wild Spear? That is Fatal Thrust. This is Wild Spear. No, that's also Fatal Thrust. This is Wild Spear. No, none of them are Wild Spear. All of them are Fatal Thrust. This is a running attack. It does... You have almost full control of your movements here. It's like Demo Knight trimping. Like, I think I can probably curve around this bridge if I'm careful. Yeah, I can curve onto the bridge with this, and it gives you a lot of movement. It doesn't grapple like its cousin, Fatal Thrust, which I'll show you in a second. But it does do good damage and is a very good approach tool, which you can use. Oh, demonstration 1. So you can see I can come back with it even though I missed it. You can use the environment to your advantage. It's much like if any of you have played DBD, Dead by Daylight, it's much like the Oni's Charge, and the last attack you actually do on the chain will do a little bit of additional damage. You can run people over with this. It's alright. Its cousin, however, Fatal Thrust, is far, far better. Far better because of its ability to grapple. Fatal Thrust is pretty good. We'll get to it in a second. Whoop. Alright. After Wild Spear is in fact Fatal Thrust. As you can see here, enemies who run out of Kai during this little attack are actually considered grappled, and you do a grappling attack to them. So let's get this guy out of Kai. And then you stab him. There we go. If he's not out of Kai, it'll just do this and hit him repeatedly. But it will drain Kai very quickly. It'll also drain your Kai very quickly, so be careful about that. But yeah, that's Fatal Thrust. After Fatal Thrust is, well, Cull the Herd. This is an extension of Flying Monkey. Let's see if I can do this properly. This one is very difficult to do. Okay. It is a extension to Flying Monkey. More of a alternative Flying Monkey. It does good Kai damage. You need to press triangle in the air. Good Kai damage, as you can see, does a lot of attacks. It hits a very wide radius. And it finishes off with a very big attack. I'd suggest actually picking this up if you want to use Flying Monkey, because it's pretty powerful, and it's almost an unending barrage. It also keeps you very safe if you're surrounded by a crowd. Next up are the secret skills. The Triple Threat, which is actually a timed skill. I will hope I can perform properly. So it is a held triangle skill, or I believe it's Omni. I believe it is Omni. Let me go check real quick. I believe this is an Omni skill. Yeah, it's an Omni skill for all stances on a guard triangle press, and it is normally, oopsies, it is normally 3 stabs, which you can stop it early. You can go only like 1, or you can go 1 and then 2, or you could go all the way with 1, 2, 3. But there is actually a timing to this attack. It goes 1, 2, 3 normally, but if you Kai pulse at the proper time by pressing the button, let's see if I can do it. 1, 2, 3. It extends it much further. But if you fuck up, that happens. So there you go. That is the first secret skill. Spear only has 2 secret skills. The other one is okay. It's a deflection attack for mid stance. It is called Bracing Breeze. It's a deflection attack. It's pretty powerful. It does spin you in the air, so you can avoid oncoming attacks with it. Wow, he just missed me clean out. And it allows you to do a stab if you miss it by pressing square. So you can kind of cover your back if you miss the attack like I did there. It is a deflection attack normally, but as you can see, you press square again directly afterwards. You spin up in the air, do good damage and good Kai damage, and come back down. But at the same time, if you miss it, you can just stab forwards. Which is powerful, which is very strong. and stab forwards. That's it. Alright, onto the spear's buffs. Going all the way up here. Ruthless is obviously a must-have, like normal. Indomitable Spirit and the other 30% buffs you get here for 30% health. So cornered tiger, Indomitable Spirit, and cornered boar. I said bull in my other thing as well. Are also pretty powerful. The rules of thrusting is actually a must-have, especially if you want the mastery skill. Stabbing, stabbin as I call it. These are really powerful. They're 3, 2, and 1%, which is very low, like normal. But at the same time, you're thrusting so often, they actually make up for it quite well. This is okay if you want to use a sort of parry-esque build with the spear with humanoids, especially. Full moon is alright. Well, while at full health, you know, if you're parrying a lot, you're going to be at full health if you're very good at it. Shadow Strike is okay with the spear, but there are very few things except for like body swap or something which can get you behind an enemy easily. And with the spear's attacks, you really don't want to be behind them. Final Blow is okay. Passage to the Afterlife is very powerful. Armor Piercer and Passage to the Afterlife are very, very strong. I'd suggest picking those up because of how often you can get final blows and grapples with a spear. Alright, now we will go out of this. I'll show you the two little skills, the two little things you can get, the two secret skills, which are very quick. They come from the same person. And we will go over my recommended skill tree first for the spear in particular, and my recommended set out for everything. So, the spear is very good against humans. In fact, most of the things the spear has, are geared towards fighting humans. Very much so. So we want to go in here and reset our spear skills. Axe is up next. I'm excited for that one. After we do this video. Our spear skills in here, and we do kind of want to rely on Bracing Breeze. The spear does not have any like perfect guarding maneuvers. So I'd suggest you pick up the following. Pick up Fatal Thrust, Entangle because you need to, and Body Swap because you need to. Then pick up Relentless. Very good combo ender here that you pick up as well. If you want to use Entangle, you can, because it is a mid stance only and you focus on your mid stance thus far. Windmill isn't the best. I wouldn't suggest picking like Windmill or Windmill 2 up. But at the same time, I would pick Stabity. Stabity is actually very powerful. You can get Flourish if you want to be a little bit more mobile. But I think Stabity is probably best for just a generic, just all use build, because you're going to be stabbing so much and you'll have good damage on your thrusting attacks. After that, I'd pick up Passage to the Afterlife, because we will be grappling our opponents with a good few things we have already. Dragon Rise, if you want it, it's not necessary. You can pick up Flying Monkey here as well if you want to. But you can also pick up Flourish if you don't want anything else from this top section, because that's pretty much all we're getting from the top section. Except for this. We do want to pick this up in case you want a little bit of a different combo ender for everything. And you do get Twisting Spear. After that, we head down to the lower section of the skill tree. Pole Kick is alright. It's very powerful if you want this as well. We already have Fatal Thrust, so we do not need that. Flying Monkey and its accessories is okay. The real reason we're coming down to the lower section is because of our downed ability here. If you don't want that and you just want something else, I'd suggest pick up Shadow Strike or Full Moon and just ignore the lower section. But we can pick up Flying Monkey here. And if you want your combo ender here, I would pick that up if I were you. You can also get, Backlash. But in all honesty, it's not necessary. You can get Armor Piercer here, but I would suggest the rules of thrusting. It's very powerful, especially with this skill down here. As you can see, we still got, like, 12 skill points. The spear is pretty simple with its skill points. You can start buffing yourself. If you're left with 12 skill points still because you just have 33 of them because you've maxed it out, you probably know what you're going to prefer. At this point, if you still have some, I'd pick up Shadow Strike just because of how powerful it is. We can also pick up Twirl here if you want to because of how powerful the damage boost is. We can use that in combination with this or our mid-stance Mockery. And then if you want to pick up Flying Monkey and Flying Monkey, Cull the Herd, it is pretty powerful. Cull the Herd in particular is what you want to be using, so it can be pretty good. After that, you can get access to Indomitable Spirit, but I wouldn't suggest picking that up. I'd suggest picking up Final Blow and Grapple damage afterwards. And then with your last two, maybe pick up these combo enders. This one in particular can be good against yokai. And with your last one, this could be good, but we pretty much have a better replacement for that over here. So honestly, Spearfall, if you're planning on fighting a lot of humans and you don't want to use Rain, it's very good. Flourish can be good if you're going to be in high stance a lot. In that case, why not just, buy Windmill as well there, or maybe get this Mastery skill over here so you don't have to be in high stance and just swap it off from this one. If you do want to use this Mastery skill over here, I suggest you don't buy the Rules of Thrusting, but you can if you just kind of want to be a mixed build here. And that's about it for your last point here. I would probably pick up Spearfall just for a little bit of utility. And that is like the general setup for my Spear skill tree. As you can see, we have a lot of buffs type skills here. And then as far as the setup for the attacks, obviously we have our Mastery, our Grapple. We didn't pick up the Special Grapple because it doesn't seem necessary. It's pretty powerful, yes, but with this kind of build and setup, it's not necessary because we are focusing heavily on mid-stance here. You can do this if you're fighting yokai. You can also do Twirl or Entangle. I suggest out of all of these, you do Twirl and then Breeze. You could also swap this out for, Triple Threat or Spear Shove. If you want to be more aggressive, Triple Threat is very powerful with the build you have here. And Breeze is also good. And then you can just use Chidori here for your basic combos with humanoids and just kind of rely on your skills here. Twisting Spear is very important, and I'd suggest Fatal Thrust here. After that, you kind of want to go down here, and this is my setup I suggest you have for your low stance. You can also do Spear Shove down here, and then Backlash, because it's the only one we have. I'd suggest Spear Shove down here in case you need its utility. And there you go, that's what I suggest. You're not going to use high stance very much. And you can obviously always go back into here, and instead of picking up, Spearfall, you can pick up the Merciless Barrage if you want more grapple damage, because we did just buy grapple over here. So if that's what you want, you can do that. But that's the kind of setup I would use. And finally, we will go to the secret skills. So, the secret skills for the spear are, I believe, in the age of... Oh, let me change it real quick. Oopsies. What is that I have there? Okay, sorry. In the Age of Dreams. On the mission Mazata of the Spear. In the Age of Dreams, you'll have to complete a couple missions for this, but it's over here. And you get both spear abilities from this guy. It's incredibly simple. You just go over here and fight him. He's the first thing in the mission. He's pretty tanky, and I wouldn't suggest using fire damage against him, but we're going to do that anyways. He's right in front of you. Real easy. Real simple. We can just slap this down, chug this, put this down, and then throw a fireball at him, do a little bit of damage. He's pretty resistant to fire. Normally this would be doing way more. He also has a lot of hit points, but we can kind of guide him into this. Sometimes he might do that to avoid your ability, your paralysis bombs, or your bombs if you have any of them. You can also just throw a paralysis shell. But because a lot of his attacks have forward momentum, it's usually not the best. Next up, we can do our thrust, our fatal thrust here. And it will usually take him out. If not, we can just do like one attack. And he will sometimes drop the skills you're looking for. Alright everybody, it's been a shorter video, only about 45 minutes. Thank you everyone so much for coming. If you would like to see more videos by me, I will be doing a full NIOH playthrough and a full guide series on all of the weapons. Please do consider liking, commenting, and subscribing for more. I have been Shin Worldmaker, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everyone.